morning. I'm about to go take a walk. I have a client at 10 a.m. today. I just have one client today. It's gonna be a pretty slow day. I do just have a lot of like admin stuff to do for the day. And if you're confused by all that, if you're new here, I'm Monica. I'm a therapist based in Dallas, and today I'm just taking you along a day in my life. I am, like I said, I'm gonna go do a walk, then come back, take probably a quick body shower, get ready for my client, see my client, and then just work on some stuff, and I'll share that with you. But I'm trying a new place to go for a walk, which I'm a little nervous because the place that I usually go to, there's usually a lot of people. In this place, I haven't really gone. I have seen a few people go through this trail, so we will see. We will be hyper vigilant about our surroundings. But yeah, I'm gonna show you my outfit for the walk. Totally forgot that I need to put on sunscreen because it is 80 degrees in Dallas, and we need some sunscreen. Let's see. I don't really like the sunscreen because you can tell like the white base, but I do like the protection of it. I like the feel, I just don't like that it's white. Okay. Here is the outfit for the walk. I'm just wearing this romper from Amazon, and then this, I bought it at H&M. It's just a linen shirt. I wear it often. And then my shoes are Brooks. My fitness coach had recommended these for walking and running, and so far so good. They work. So we are gonna go on a little walk. It was definitely so much hotter than I anticipated, and I had to take a full body shower, like wash my hair too, because it was intense. There wasn't a lot of people. There were a few people there, and I just like to try to be around people. So I just put a little bit of stuff for my redness, because I do not want to put a full face of makeup or anything. I just want to look presentable on camera. So I'm just doing my eyebrows. I recently switched from the House of Labs to the Ilia, let me see if you can see that, the Ilia brow pencil, and I do like it. I really do like it. I couldn't find my other one last time, so I decided to get this one. And I love Ilia's mascara. It's what I use because it doesn't make you look like a raccoon after you shower. Like, it actually dissolves off, like you have no makeup left. Now for some people who really need their mascara to last, might not like that. I do. I'm very much no makeup person. So we're just gonna do little brows, make sure they look like twins. I have a couple of admin things that I need to do. I need to create some outlines for YouTube videos, and then draft a treatment plan, I believe. Oh yeah, that's all I have to do. So I have 3 video outlines I need to do and 1 treatment plan because I have to go over it with my client on Thursday, and that is all. But I wanted to take this opportunity to answer some of the questions that people have submitted. Also, if you want to just skip ahead, I will put the time mark right here. I also have chapters so you can skip ahead if you don't really want to listen to this part of the video. So I do have a video request form, and I'll put it down below in the description for you if you ever want a specific video on a specific topic. Now, I will say, even though I like to share like my day in life as a therapist, I don't want to become a channel that's like how to be in private practice. That's just not. But I will be sprinkling wisdom throughout my like day in the life vlogs. But I wanted to answer these questions. So I'm gonna answer 2 questions that a lot of people have asked, and one of the questions is pay transparency. I wrote my notes here so that I could share it with you, but basically this person wanted to ask as far as like, how much do therapists make? I think this person said that she is in grad school or is thinking of going to grad school to become a therapist and is worried about the pay because she wants to get into private practice. I honestly get this question a lot, and I won't be sharing my current salary. I keep that as a boundary as far as like protecting myself from the internet, but I am going to be sharing my past, like when I worked 8 to 5 jobs, and also what it took to get to where I am now. Let's start off with just giving you some actual practical advice as what therapists make, like straight out of school. Now, for me, I did my program in rehabilitation counseling, which usually gets you a job in vocational rehab, which does pay a little bit more, I've realized, than just going through a mental health counseling program and then going straight off to working for a group practice or university or things like that. They don't make as much money. So I did rehabilitation counseling. I had seen that they had made a little bit more. It's not really big of a difference, but they do make a little bit more than the typical therapist. And so vocational rehab is completely different than, you know, one-on-one individual therapy, but that's kind of where I started. And so when I first started working in the field, I started making between $44,000 to $45,000 right off of grad school. And this was not having a lot of experience. I think I only had like 1 year experience through my internship and things like that. And yeah, I was $45,000, and they also had like incentives too. So if you were bilingual, like if you had a different language that is essential, or let's just say you knew ASL, like those were things where they would top off like a bonus for having those extra skills, right? Because you would be catering to a population where maybe all the other therapists wouldn't be able to, right? You would have like a specialized, or like if you had any, you know, other training. So again, that was around $44,000 to $45,000 a year working as a vocational rehabilitation counselor. And that was right after grad school, so this was around 2016. And then, and also at that time, I was living on my own. I want to note that. I was living on my own, making that. And that was good money for me at the time. Again, how the economy was in 2016, 2017 is very different than how the economy is right now with inflation and everything. So just keep that in mind. And then that increased in 2019. I literally worked there for like about 3.5 years. And I ended up getting up to 52 to 53K at around 2019 that I was making a year. However, it was the most toxic environment. Specifically the office, the vocational rehabilitation office I was working for was like super toxic, but I kind of stayed the course. Like I was working on getting my hours to become an LPC. I honestly just wanted to start my private practice part-time and never had any intention to do it full-time, but I knew I had to leave that place because there was no capacity for me to be able to do that. So then I left, and I ended up getting a pay cut by working at the University of Texas in Arlington. So I did work for UTA, and there is when I took a pay cut, and I think I was making around 47 to 48K. So I took a bit of a pay cut, but honestly it was the best like thing that I did for myself. And at the time, the reason why I also could do a pay cut is my husband and I were already living together. We had gotten engaged the year prior, and so it made sense for us to live together. So now I'm able to share expenses with another person. So that is a very big thing. I'm super transparent about it because it looks very different for someone who has a partner where you're sharing expenses to someone who is just like has a roommate. And again, share expenses, but maybe not the same, or is living on their own, right? So I had to be I had a lot less choices when I didn't have my partner. And that is the real deal about this. I was able to get that cut, but I was able to do that cut. Then I got licensed, like right when I got to this new job at UTA, I got licensed as an LPC, and I got this job working at their disability office. And so I decided to open my private practice part-time, and I would just do it on Saturdays. I would just do 1 day out of the week on Saturdays, seeing clients, and that really helped me. And eventually I ended up being able to match my previous salary. So those like $8,000 that I was missing a year because I wasn't making that, now I was able to generate that amount of money because I started in private practice, just working on the weekends. So that was really helpful. And then 2020 came around and we all ended up working from home. So that gave me the opportunity to start seeing clients Mondays and Thursdays or something in the afternoon, because I had no commute. So again, was able to build up my private practice so that eventually I could either match my current income at the time or do more, right? For me, it was essential to have at least half of that income being able to replace, you know, my current job. And so all this to say, that's how I was thinking about it. I also thought of like having 6 months worth of business expenses and being able to have an emergency fund before I went into private practice. So stick with your 8 to 5 if you can before you hit full-time on private practice. Now, you don't necessarily have to. You could completely do private practice full-time right off the bat, you know, but it is going to be difficult. I hope that helps as far as like knowing how much like I was making around that time. But the way that I want you to think about as far as like how much money you want to make, there's a very big difference. Again, like I said, if you're by yourself or with a partner, it's going to look very different. And so you need to consider that when you're in private practice, you are a business owner, right? And so as a business owner, it's not just the amount of money that you're making, right? Because that's revenue. That's the amount of money that you are making in your business gross, right? This is before taxes, before expenses. So imagine if you want to make 70K a year or 6 figures, you're going to have to make about 100K in revenue or 130K in revenue in order to hit those goals, those salary goals. And you need to think about your expenses, right? Now, every therapist is different. I have friends who are completely remote, and then there's me who I do hybrid. I do remote and I lease out a room twice a week for the month. So you have to decide what you want to do, right? Like there's pros and cons for everything. Like I personally love in person, so I'm willing to make that expense because it helps me in my mental health, and it just like, it's what works for me. But yeah, you have to think about how much revenue you're wanting to make. You think about, okay, I want to pay myself $60,000 a year, or I want to pay myself $70,000 a year. All right, then how much money do you have to make in revenue? How much are your expenses, and then that's your profit, right? And from your profit, then you're gonna have to decide, okay, this is how much I want to pay myself, right? And keep money in your business to help with cash flow, because you're not going, there's gonna be months where you're not gonna be making as much as the others, right? There's gonna be a time where you're gonna be super consistent with things, right? So I like to say that because I don't want to paint this pretty picture that like it's easy, and it gets to a point where it is easy, but that's why working with a team, that's why when I first started, I worked with a bookkeeper, I had a financial advisor. Like those were things that I knew were good for me to be able to invest. Also, I invested in a lot of shit that I didn't need to. So don't, like coaching and things like that, I think they are important. However, just be mindful who you are hiring to be your coach or to give you advice on your private practice. But what really is investing is on people to delegate things that are outside of your scope of being a therapist. So that's all that to say. I want you to be mindful of that. There's a really good video of this creator, and I'm gonna put it right here. She is a like entrepreneur. She has her own agency, but her video is so relevant to what I'm talking about, because she breaks things down. I like as how much she makes, revenue, you know, paying taxes, things like that. Like, it's just a lot that we have to think about. It's not as easy as like, okay, I'm gonna be a private practice. The money that I make, I take completely by myself. No, like you gotta pay taxes, you have to pay expenses, you gotta pay the people who help you, and then you get your profit, right? If you do profit first, it's very different, but I won't be talking all about that. Personally, you have to ask yourself, like I'm talking to this person asking me this question, you have to ask yourself, what do you need to make in order to live your lifestyle? So I do consultations with you know, therapists in training, and I always tell them, it doesn't serve you if I tell you how much I make, because your journey is different. You are in a different place than I am, and also your lifestyle and my lifestyle may look very different in terms of like where we're living, what we're spending, what is important to us, right? I think it's important to ask yourself like what lifestyles you want to make. You might want to do some research on maybe Psychology Today, search, and looking at therapists in your area, the zip code that you want to work in, right? And see how much they're charging from the high end to the lower end, and maybe meet somewhere in the middle and make your calculations. Before you even set your rate, like make sure that you're doing some research on it, and then also set your rate to make, you know, to understand how much you need to make in order to sustain your lifestyle. I hope that helpful and that I didn't ramble as much, but yeah. The second question that I want to answer is, somebody asks, how do I know that becoming a therapist is right for me? This specific person who asked this question would be making a career change, and one of the things that I would want you to like jot down specifically is what makes you curious about the field? What is your bias about what a therapist does? Are you willing to sacrifice going back to school, getting your hours? It's an investment, right? Because you already invested in one field, right? You took the course to have a career in that, and now you're wanting to change to a different career. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to make the sacrifice? Because it is going to take time. It's not as easy as investing in maybe a degree in technology or something where, you know, getting out, or becoming a doctor or something where, you know, you may be able to end up paying off your student loans or paying off, you know, things right after getting your first job, right? So things to consider. Again, don't want to scare you, I just want to make it realistic. Also, do you have the tenacity that it takes to become a therapist? Like, whether you're doing private practice, you're gonna have to market yourself. So do you have the tenacity to market yourself, to go through school, to get your hours, which takes time, and, you know, be okay with like now this modern way of marketing yourself as a therapist? There are companies that hire you, again, but those companies will take, you're gonna have to have years of experience as a therapist to get a good salary. So when you're starting off, you could start off, get your experience there, and then venture out in private practice and then go back to a salary. Like, it's up to you what works for you. But how do you know if becoming a therapist is right for you? I think it really comes down to your resiliency level. Like, are you willing to make these changes, an investment both in time and money to become this? It's such a fulfilling career, but it can be so hard, and people do not share that. It can be really hard. People pin therapists against each other. People shit on other therapists, like in terms of like approach and things like that. It could be a very competitive thing. I thankfully have been surrounded with people who are amazing, and we're not in competition with one another. We just want to help each other grow. But that wasn't the case all throughout my experience. And so for me, my journey, I knew this was the right thing for me since I was, you know, since I got out of high school. I really just knew that this was something that I wanted to pursue. I was confident in my abilities to be able to sit with someone. I just needed someone to teach me the tools to be able to help another human, and going to school did that, and also taking opportunities to grow in other ways did that for me. I will be completely honest with you. Things can be hard. I remember like my first year going into private practice full time, I made almost $9,000 worth of mistakes, and I sucked it up and allowed myself to be okay with, you know, with what happened, and pivot and move on from whatever strategy I was trying to do. And I felt shame, but I created a plan and I learned to never do that again. My partner trusted me that I would learn from this, and didn't shame me for it, because trust me, I was shaming myself this whole situation. And I share this example not to scare you, but just to paint a picture of like my experience. And also, like, at the end of the day, let's just say you go to therapy, you go through the program to get your hours to become a therapist, and all of a sudden you're like, I can't do this. You will survive, because if you survive the first time changing careers, you're gonna survive the second time. Like, there's no timeline that says you can't try something new after, you know. But again, it just depends on your situation. Like, if you have kids, if you have, like, it really does depend on things, because everyone has to be on board with your decision. You know, at the end of the day, like, it's gonna be hard. You're not just by yourself making a decision. It would be totally different. Like with me and my partner, he ended up doing a career change, and it had to be a decision. Like, I had to be at some point in my business for then him to be able to make the decision to move different careers. And so it's one of those things that you need to be mindful of. So how do you know it's right fit for you? If you're just feeling confident in that, in your resiliency level and your level of survival, honestly, I believe you'll survive, and you'll just have to be okay with the outcome. But regardless, along the way, you're gonna get more information and figure it out more and more. Like, so let's just say you do a year in grad school and you ended up didn't liking it, you don't want to move forward. Yeah, it's a year of maybe investing in something, and again, it could be a $9,000 mistake, but at least you know, right? You learn from those $9,000 mistake, right? So that's what I meant by sharing that example. Sorry if I ramble. But those are the two questions. Very long-winded. I hope that really helped. Like, I'm trying to be here, trying to be your bestie here and share the truth about this field, because it can be a very difficult one and nobody really shares that. So I hope that helps. Whew, it took forever to record those questions. I was just like passionate about it. So I'm gonna start with doing my outline for my monthly reset video. So I usually do an outline of like what I'm sharing, things like that. So if you guys have seen my template, it is just my template on how I brainstorm for my videos. And this is just where I put like what I'm wearing, clicks I'm gonna get, an intro and a hook, my main content, my outro. If I go over here, I have like thumbnail ideas. Obviously this is just here for as a template. This is not the thumbnail idea for this, but I get inspiration from other creators. After I'm done brainstorming, I do the final script. Then we have like the description and the blog if we're making this into a blog. But right now I just need to brainstorm for this video, this monthly reset, and I have 2 more to do. So let me do that. I have my client at 10 o'clock, but it's 9:36, so we still have time. I just finished with my client, and so now I get to finish all of my admin work. It's 11 a.m. I'm gonna do another hour before I wrap things up and do my lunch. I need to actually meal prep my lunches for the week because my husband is actually out of town, so we didn't end up meal prepping on Sundays, which we usually do. And when we meal prep, we literally just meal prep for like lunch and dinner, so like 2 days out of the week. So we're just repeating 2 days. So we repeat 2 dinners, like 2 lunches, the same. And that helps us like not feel like we have to continuously cook every single day. So I need to do that, but first let me finish this case note. It was such a good session. We reviewed their treatment plan, which is great because I love when I nail a treatment plan, the client's like, yes, like this resonated with me, like we're hit, like yes, like it just feels so good. So I hope your therapist, or if you're a therapist, that you are going over you're going over the treatment plan with your clients, because it's so important. I wish that my therapist would do that, because sometimes it just feels like we're throwing spaghetti in a wall and it doesn't even feel like, I don't know, I like structured things, if that makes sense. But let me write this case note. Hi. I am done with all of my tasks for the day. I'm sorry if you hear like fire alarm. Apparently there were some like I guess tests that are going on, so that's annoying. But I am, because this randomly happened where there's having these like tests going on, they're gonna have them throughout the day, and so I'm not gonna be able to film the rest of my day. But I'm basically already done with all of my work, and so I hope that you guys enjoyed this little mini vlog, and let me know if you have any other questions when it comes to becoming a therapist. I will do my best to sprinkle it through my day in the life therapy videos, but I do encourage you to seek out creators who are really honing into the niche. I do have a few that I'll link below that I fully love and trust. And I hope to see you in my next video.